Trans lives are at risk every day due to the government, healthcare treatment and mental health. As of 2024, the government views of transgender people continue to be offensive, trans healthcare is unreliable and trans mental health is exhausted. Last year, there were 320 cases of transgender people being murdered, the vast majority being trans women. This includes the murder of 16-year-old Brianna Gay, whose life was cut short due to transphobia. The first point I want to make about this topic is Rishi Sunak and his lack of sympathy and understanding towards other communities. There have been one too many occasions where he has mentioned something heavily transphobic and excused it with a random excuse and refuses to apologise.
But it's a bit rich, Mr. Speaker, to hear about promises from someone who's broken every single promise he was elected on. I mean, I think I counted almost 30 in the last year. Pensions, planning, peerages, public sector pay, tuition fees, childcare, second referendums, defining a woman. Although in fairness, that was only 99% of a U-turn. The list goes on, but the theme is the same, Mr. Speaker. It's empty words, broken promises, and absolutely no plan.
And it also shouldn't be controversial for parents to know what their children are being taught in school about relationships. Patients should know when hospitals are talking about men or women. And we shouldn't get bullied. And we shouldn't get bullied into believing that people can be any sex they want to be. They can't. A man is a man and a woman is a woman. That's just common sense.
During Prime Minister's questions, Mr. Sunak ridiculed Sir Keir Starmer for U-turning on defining a woman. Rihanna's father was amongst those calling for an apology and said the PM's comments were degrading. He also told Sky News, as the Prime Minister for our country, to come out with degrading comments like he did, regardless of them being in relation to discussions in Parliament. They are absolutely dehumanising. Identities of people should not be used in that manner, and I personally feel shocked by his comments and feel he should apologise for his remarks. I'm Ashel, my pronouns are he, they. My thoughts on the government is that I think they're actually a piss take when it comes to trying to help a community, especially communities they don't personally understand. Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss have tried in the past or currently to ban trans healthcare, including like human rights, and so I think that takes a huge toll on the community when it comes to trying to trust the government in handling something that is so important to them.
Hello! I think the government isn't doing much for trans people. A while back, I think a couple of months, Rishi made a comment actually making fun of trans people, multiple of them, and I think that was very uncalled for, and for me it made me feel unsafe, unheard and unseen, and that is not what we need considering what happens to trans people every single day. It just feels like we're a second thought, and I just think it's very disheartening and makes it a lot harder for trans people, because being trans in general in the UK is hard to do, and the fact that the government isn't backing us up is making it even more harder.
Hi, my name's Ollie, I'm 18 and my pronouns are he, him. I have heard about new laws that Rishi's want introduced about what's allowed to be discussed in schools regarding trans people, and I think it's ridiculous. I think the way that the government treats trans people is absolutely disgusting. Healthcare for trans people is so underfunded, and I think it needs to change.
Transgender healthcare is a massive lack of in the community. Transgender people typically experience barriers to healthcare, such as refusal of care, violence, and a lack of provider knowledge. For trans people, the wait for a first appointment at a gender identity clinic can now be 5 years or more, despite a target of just 18 weeks. In 2019, Dee Greer decided she wanted to medically transition and was referred to the Tavistock and Portman NHS clinic in London. She had been on the clinic's waiting list for 5 years and is yet to see a doctor. Chrissy Cheversutt, 65 from Oxford, said she had resolved that she probably would not transition and had given up on even joining a list. She said that by the time she got to have surgery, she'd be too old. That thought had sparked pain, severe anxiety and suicidal thoughts. More than 13,500 transgender and non-binary adults are on the waiting list for NHS gender identity clinics in England. The system had been described as broken by an ex-soldier who had been waiting to see a consultant since 2016. Since I came out as trans, I haven't tried to receive trans healthcare, but I do plan to. I've been trans for about 5 years now, and I've personally just done my own thing without the help of a therapist or like healthcare. But once I turn 18, I'm planning on trying to get a gender dysphoria diagnosis so I can eventually get stuff like top surgery or be put on testosterone to help with that. But I think the healthcare system is a bit off when it comes to trans people, because doctors have admitted before that going into a course to become a doctor, they didn't get taught anything to do with trans healthcare or how to support trans people when they come in and stuff like that.
I came out when I was quite young. I came out when I was 10 to family, but I didn't come out socially until I started college. But I've been on the waiting list since I've been 10, so that tells you about the state of the waiting list.
Another topic I would like to talk about is trans mental health. Transgender people often encounter stigmatization, oppression and discrimination, which can all contribute towards mental health outcomes. Transgender people have higher rates of mental health complications than those in general population due to stigma and discrimination, including lack of healthcare. Transgender youth face further health disparities as they are twice as likely to experience depressive symptoms, seriously consider suicide and attempt suicide compared to cisgender lesbian, gay, bisexual, queer or questioning youth. Even so, their rates are just as bad. A 2016 comparative study suggests that transgender people experience more significant anxiety symptoms and have nearly 3-fold increased risk of probable anxiety disorder. Research highlights the role of gender dysphoria, gender incongruence, and internalized cis-sexism in contributing towards anxiety. However, throughout all this, support is available. Trans people should attempt to find therapists and or doctors who support and affirm trans identities.
I would like to think that being trans personally hasn't affected any of my mental health, because I'm not transgender because I'm mentally ill, and I'm not mentally ill because I'm transgender. It's more the people around me and their reactions that has affected my mental health. I think there is still a lot of stigma around being trans, and it's very, very damaging emotionally and physically, depending on the person you tell.
My mental health, I did struggle quite a bit when I was younger with my mental health. I think being trans did play quite a big role in it, but I would say I was lucky enough to receive like so much support from my family that I don't think it was as much of an issue for me personally.
My mental health was pretty bad at first when I first came out as trans to my parents and to everyone around us. The gender dysphoria was really messed with my head and caused us to like have breakdowns, be severely depressed and hate my body for a long time, until I finally came to like accept that maybe I won't even get to change my body fully. And I've got support systems out there, like friends, family, and a partner who is also trans and helps us through all that pressure that builds up a lot of the time, but a lot of things have like affected my mental health as coming out as a trans person, and so it's really fucked, really.